Hello and welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. YouTubes? It's going to be one of those days. Hello and welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name's Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. And we also have a Instagram account and a Facebook page for my shop, Yarn and Yarns. So you can find us over on those social medias as Yarn and Yarns. Here on the YouTube channel you'll find videos about my adventures in knitting and crochet and spinning, and also chatter about my adventures of being a yarn shop owner. So today is one of my makes videos, so I'll be chatting all about my projects, some of the things that I finished and some of my works in progress. I'm coming to you from my home in my craft room, and it's pretty early in the morning. It's 8:15 and it's Friday the 22nd of September. As you can see, it's quite a sunny day outside, so I'm getting quite a lot of sunlight across my face, so I've got a nice shiny face for you this morning. I'm also feeling a little bit off colour. I think I've got a little bug or something. Came on yesterday, and yeah, I'm just not feeling 100%. I'm okay, you know, nothing serious I don't think, but I'm feeling very tired and yeah, just a bit peaky. So if I seem a little bit spaced out, then you'll have to forgive me for that. But if I don't record today, then this probably won't get done again for another week or so. And I've been trying ages to get this video, done, and it just doesn't seem to be happening. So I figured we'll just go with it, and it is what it is. So I have some finished objects, some works in progress, knitting and crochet. I don't have any spinning or any sewing today. I have been doing a little bit of both spinning and sewing, but nothing that's really worth showing. So given that I'm not feeling 100%, I think we'll skip over those today. So yeah, that's what's coming up. I will be flipping backwards and forwards because some of my finished objects I finished a little while ago and they've been given to new homes, so I recorded sort of little excerpts of those projects, so I shall put those in when appropriate. And also I've realised as I sat down this morning that I've left 2 of the finished objects that I was going to show you at the shop, so I think I shall probably when I get to the shop later, I'll record another video to insert those in. So sorry if it's a little bit choppy today, but as I say, if I don't get this done, then it's not going to get done. So yeah, we'll just have a bit of a messy video. But anyway, let's before I actually get started on the finished objects, I might just have a little chat and tell you about what I'm wearing. I'm actually wearing a Me Made jumper today. I don't know if I'll wear this all day because by the look of it outside it's quite sunny, so it might be a bit too hot for a knitted jumper. And you can't really see this too well, but this is the Lucinda pattern by Carrie Bostic Hogue, and it's in one of her books. I'm looking over there because the book will be up on the shelf somewhere. Might be Madam Maid. If I'm wrong, I will try and insert a correction either on the screen or down below. I'm not amazing at editing, as you all know if you've joined me before. But yeah, it's a really nice, just really simple oversized jumper. You can't really see what, maybe if I rock around a bit you can see there's plenty of positive ease. It's a reverse stocking stitch, so it wasn't the most interesting thing I've ever knit. It was just backwards and forwards, knits and purls. Actually that's a lie, it was knit because I would knit it in the round. Yeah, the one big problem I have with this, obviously I'm not a small person, so I knit a really big size, but the neck was absolutely massive. So I don't know if you can see, but I've put some ribbing on the neck. That ribbing is not in the pattern. It's basically when you finish, you pick up and knit the neck edge, and then you cast it off again. So the original cast off was down here. I think you can see where I've kind of gone along and picked up the stitches. But if I just put my hair back, even though I've picked up and knit this extra ribbing, it's still really massive in the shoulders, and when I'm wearing this it kind of like slips off my shoulders and things. So I'm kind of contemplating actually undoing my cast off and maybe even knitting another few more rows of rib, just so that I'm not constantly pulling this up. But if you can see where the rib comes to, I mean, I just wouldn't have been able to wear that, and like the front, well, it would have been pretty obscene. So I don't know what that's about. And also it's supposed to have 3/4 length sleeves, and if you can see, I knit to the length that is required, and they're pretty much full sleeves. And I don't know what it is, and I find this a lot with clothes that I buy in the store as well. I think they think if you're a big size, you're a bloody giant. Excuse my French. But I don't know, I find with jeans, you know, unless you're 7 foot tall, they'd never fit you in length. The pair of jeans I'm wearing at the moment are relatively new, and I cut about 7 inches off the bottom, and they're still too long. They still drag along the ground. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the same like all across the world, or it fits just here, but as I say, people seem to, I guess it is because I think Carrie's like American or Canadian. So designers, people in the fashion world, you know, why do people aren't always taller people? And I'm not really sure either. I'm like 5'7", so I mean, okay, maybe 5'6". Somewhere around there. I don't know. I haven't measured myself for ages, but you know, I am not the shortest of the short. So yeah. Anyway, that was a bit of a random aside, wasn't it? Well, not really. I was talking about the Lucinda. And the yarn I used is it's now discontinued, sadly, but Rowan do have similar yarns now. I can't remember what their newest one is. Maybe they have reintroduced this one. Anyway, it's Baby Merino Silk DK. I have a spare couple of balls of this, and I knit this in the claret colourway, but as I say, I'm pretty sure this is discontinued, although they've got a very similar yarn that they've recently brought back. I hope the patchy sunlight isn't too annoying. There's nothing I can really do about that, sorry. Anyway, 10 minutes in almost, and I'll finally get round to some of my recent finished objects and works in progress. So here at home I've only got one finished object to show you, and the rest of the things are works in progress. And my finished objects, there's multiples of them. Look, I'm going to show you this bag full of them. So I have been knitting and crocheting some leaves for the next window display. I'm just going to pull a few out of the bag. I've used different patterns, different colours, so I'm going to try and grab a few of the different samples that I've got to show you. So let's grab that one. And I'm also just going to have a look. I've been keeping the yarns as I've been going along in one of my own project bags that I made last year. Lovely pumpkin patch, and I also knit a couple of leaves which I've put as a zipper pull on here. These little leaves, the pattern came from Botanical Knits book, and that's by Alana Dacos. I love that book. I must get back to knitting some more things from there. But yeah, there's a tiny little leaf pattern at the back, so I just use some scraps of leftover sock yarns and things to make that. But I've been using all different kinds of yarns, just whatever I've got that's been in autumnal colours. I think I showed you on the last video, or maybe even the video before, I picked out a few yarns to use, but I haven't stuck to those. I have used those. They were mostly Wendy Ramsdale's, but I've also been using just scraps that I've got around. So I've made some crochet leaves, and this was a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called Leaf Coaster. I'm just going to have a look in my bag to see if I've still got the pattern. I do. So the crochet pattern is called Leaf Coaster. There's a version with UK crochet terms and one with the US crochet terms, and it's by Catherine Late. Is that right? I can't read backwards. Yeah, Catherine Late. And that's a free pattern on Ravelry. It takes you to her blog. And yeah, that's a really nice pattern. It makes a really big leaf. As I said, it's designed to make a coaster. But I've also been using that pattern to make some slightly smaller versions of that leaf by just leaving out the outer rounds. So I've made one. Obviously I've not added the picots, and then I also made a couple that were even slightly smaller than that. I don't know if I can find one. Right, there's one. So I made just the inner rounds of that one. So yeah, I've used that, as I say, I've adapted that and just used it to make different size leaves. So there's a big one, medium one, little one in that one. I also used another crochet pattern, and I don't have that pattern on me, but it's sort of like a maple leaf pattern. Again, this was another free pattern on Ravelry. I'll try and add these patterns to my Ravelry page for anyone who might be interested, but yeah, quite a cute, simple little maple leaf design with the different points. As you can see, I've just been using up random yarns, and this one I didn't have quite enough of the green, so I added a bit of yellow, but I just figured, you know, and on some of these, obviously I've got different colours on the outer, but you know, leaves, as they're changing colour in the autumn, you do get patches of different colour, so I wasn't worried about that. And then the other pattern that I've used is a knitted pattern, and it is called the Garter Stitch Leaf. Oh, I do have the maple pattern, but all it says on there is Happy Berry, so I'm not sure if that's the designer or the blog. There isn't any other details on there. And then the knitted pattern that I've been using is called Garter Stitch Leaf. Again, a free pattern which I downloaded from Ravelry. Just going to have a look on the second page to see. And it's designed by Jan Eaton. And that one turns out like this. So I've got a bunch of those in different colours. And also, I think the majority, there's probably a handful, maybe like 5 or 6 in this bag that were made by my customers, but I've made the rest. But I also have some more at the shop. My customers have been, from my regular groups, have been really helpful and have made a few leaves. So they will be decorating the window when we change the window. And I'm hoping to maybe do that today. It depends how I feel. I'm a bit off colour today, so I don't know how much energy I'm going to have when I get to the shop. And we've got, if you remember, if you've watched my previous videos, at the moment I've got a cot in the window, so that's going to take a bit of effort to move that out. So yeah, it just depends on how much energy I've got. I've got a friend coming over to help me do a few bits and pieces in the shop, so it'd be ideal to use her to help me, but yeah, we'll just see how I feel later on. So that's it for the finished objects that I have here. My cat Newtie has come, as per usual. I'm sure she'll wriggle away. Say hello to the camera, Newtie. Aww. I've lost my train of thought now. That's your fault, Newtie. Yeah, okay, let's just move on. Other finished objects, I shall insert video clips here. I have a finished object to show you today. I'm not recording my full video today. I still have last week's video to upload at this point. We've had a few technical issues with that, but I have finished a thing, and it is a commission knit, so I thought I would quickly show it to you because there is a good chance that it will be going off to its new home at some point. If not today, then probably before I get round to recording the next video. So, as seems to be a common theme running through my finished objects recently, it's another baby garment. And this time it's a little cardigan for a girl, which was really quite fun to make. I've been making lots of garments for a little boy, so I shall show you how it's knit up. Now, unfortunately I don't have the pattern anymore. The pattern was in a brand new book that came into stock last week I think, and it's a pattern book by Sublime, and I think it was called the 21st Sublime Little Knits or something like that, and I had 3 copies and all copies have now sold, so I shall be reordering that. It's got another pattern in that I wanted to knit for a commission, so but it's proved to be quite a popular little book. Pretty much everyone that's picked it up bought it, so we sold out of it really quickly. But I knit this really cute simple little cardigan. In the original pattern book it was knit in a plain colour, but I picked, or not I, but the lady who commissioned this picked something from Sirdar, and this is the Baby Crofter, which is a multi-coloured yarn. It's sort of designed to have a kind of Fair Isle effect, but the effect that you get varies with the size that you make, so every time I've knit with it I've never got what I would call a real Fair Isle effect. It's really just multi-stripes, but this colourway is sadly discontinued. It was called Gracie, and I had well, there's a bit of a story with this one. I had one ball left, and the lady picked the this particular colourway, and I thought I possibly could squeeze a newborn size cardi out of one ball, but unfortunately I didn't, and I ran out as I was about to cast on the second sleeve, so I had to search around online and I found one more ball, which was really handy, but a bit of a faff really, but never mind, these things happen. So yeah, just a simple cardi with a really cute sort of frilled detail at the bottom. Lots of people have asked me, is that crocheted? But it's not, it's knit. There's a really fun technique, which obviously it's in a paid for book, so I won't spoil the technique, but it's something that I've not tried before, but it worked out really well, and I just added a few little green buttons to sort of complement the green stripes in there. So yeah, that's really all there is to say about that. It was knit on 3.25 and 4mm needles, and yeah, it was real fun to work in some girly colours rather. I'm back again with another 2 finished objects. I'm hoping to record a makes video this week, but I've got 2 finished objects here in the shop. One is a commission and will be going to its new home today, so if I waited any longer I would not have it to show you. And the other is living in the shop. It's on one of the mannequins in the window, so I thought I'd talk to you about it while I'm recording this quick video in the shop today, because I don't really want to drag it home at the weekend or later on this week whenever I get round to recording the full video. So the first finished object that I'm going to show you is the commission knit, and it is another toddler jumper. So I've knit the 1 to 2 year old size, and this is what it looks like. So it's a nice really lovely sort of tonal grey yarn, which is one of the Patons Extra Fine Merino DKs, and the colourway is, just bear with me a second, it's colour 192. Yeah, so I used a Sirdar pattern. I think I showed it in my last shop update, the sort of vlog video that I did, I picked out all of the patterns that I was going to make for my next few commissions, and I chatted about them and showed you my yarn and pattern combos on there. I don't have the pattern with me today. I left it at home this morning. It's been a bit of a funny morning. I had to take my cat to the vet for her booster injections, and we no longer have a car, so I had to carry her. The vet's only a few doors away from the shop here, so it's 10 minutes if that from my house, but it's put me all out of routine having the stress of trying to shove her into the carrier and then carry her. And although she's only a tiny little cat, those things, if you're a pet owner, they're quite awkward. So yeah, between me, I think I was more stressed out about the whole situation than she was, but between me having to take her to the vet, take her back home and then come back out to work, I forgot to pick up a few things that I was going to bring along to the shop. So yeah, that's a really long ramble just to say I don't have the pattern in front of me, wasn't it? Shut up and get on with it, Ange. So yeah, there's not too much to say about this. It's a really kind of simple textured pattern, sort of like a broken rib really, but I think it looks really smart in this grey. The lady who I'm making it for, you've probably seen a lot of the other commissions that I've made for her. She tends to like more colourful things, so when I said to her that I was going to make a grey jumper, she was a bit sort of nonplussed about it. Although she's very good and says to me I can make what I want, she sort of made the comment to me that it would be like a school jumper. So I thought, so to offset that a little bit, the jumper has button up shoulders, so I thought I'd put a few fun buttons just to brighten things up. Hopefully she'll enjoy that. So I've put these smiley faces, yeah, so I went for 3 different colours, obviously echoed those across both shoulders, and hopefully she'll enjoy that as a fun little detail. I think they're really quite cute, these buttons. We've got quite a lot of these in the shop in different colours, but yeah, so nice, hopefully staple jumper. I'd quite like a jumper in this colour, and I've still got quite a lot of this yarn left in the shop, so maybe that will happen. But yeah, so not really much else to say. It's a really quite a simple quick knit. I decided to do the sleeves 2 at a time, which I'm not a big fan of, and I don't know why I decided to do it, but I did. And because the Patons yarn, just bear with me a second, I'll grab a ball. With these Paton yarns, they've got this little gimmick on the end. They call it Easy Start, and they have this little bit is actually the centre of the ball, so you can use it as a centre pull. So I decided to pull from both ends of one of these balls to make the sleeves, and you know, I did them, and the plus side is they both get finished at the same time, but it just, I don't know, it seemed to take ages. Absolutely ages to knit these 2 sleeves. I'm sure it didn't in reality, but I usually knit them 1 at a time, and because they're sort of really small things, usually less stitches than a sock, so they usually seem to like work up really quickly, but doing them 2 at a time just seemed to take an age. So I don't know whether I'll do that again, and I don't even really know what possessed me, because I don't enjoy it, but it was a whim. I went with it and then moaned about it. I was sat here in the shop with my 2 ladies who come on a Monday for crochet, just whinging about it the whole time. So yeah, I'm sure that was a pleasure for them to listen to me moan. Right, so that's finished object number 1, and I have got one more finished object to show you. I'm just going to go grab it out of the window, so bear with me a second. And I'm back. So finished object number 2 is a biggie, and I am so pleased with this. This has been a work in progress for quite some time. One of those that actually knit up fairly quickly, but then it took me an age to get around to sewing it together and adding the collar band, which just ridiculous. I think it took me as long to get around to doing that as it did to actually knit the thing. And it is my Padina cardigan, so probably not going to be able to show you this particularly well, But if I remember, I shall insert a photograph of me wearing it. Which will give you some idea of what it's like. But yeah, this beautiful, beautiful eyelet cardigan, it's an open cardigan, and I made the mistake of knitting it on the wrong size needles. Yeah, it happens to everyone. Some of my regular customers have had a good laugh about that. The ones that come along to our classes, yeah, when I told them, they're like, well, you're not setting us a very good example, are you? And I just said, well, I like to think that it shows that we're all human and all make mistakes. So it's one of those, I mean, it doesn't really have a rib. It has a garter bottom, and you were supposed to cast on, I think it was 3.25 millimeters for the few garter rows, and then up to a 4mm needle for the main body of the cardigan, and I forgot to swap needles, so I knit mine all in 3.25, which means it has come up slightly smaller than it should. I realised this when I was pretty much halfway through the back, that I hadn't changed needles, but by that time there was no way I was going to rip it all out, so I just carried on. So because it's an open cardigan, I don't think it really makes that much difference. It is quite a lot shorter on me across the front than it should be, but I think it's still absolutely wearable, and I think it will be brilliant through the autumn and into spring. It's one of those nice sort of cover up, just keep the chill off. I mean, it was never going to be a nice warm cozy jumper with all the eyelets, but yeah, I'm going to step back a bit and try and hold it up just to show you the whole thing. That was in the, not the newest, but the last edition of the Rowan magazine. I don't have any copies left here in the shop. We sold out, and I have still got my one copy, but it's at home. I think it's magazine 61, and the yarn I used was the Rowan Soft Yak yarn, which is a gorgeous blend of yak and nylon, I think, if memory serves me correctly. Cotton, yeah, cotton, yak and nylon. So 76% cotton, 15% yak, 9% nylon, and it's really lovely and soft. Absolutely beautiful yarn, and I love the fact that it's quite tonal. It's I don't know if tonal's the right word. Yeah, I think it is, because it's sort of similar shades of colour. But it's really nice, and it looks lovely, and catches different colours in different lights. So yeah, I can definitely see myself knitting with this yarn again. Not the cheapest of yarns. I think it's about £7.50 a ball, but I used 8 balls of this, so retail that would be about £60. So again, not the cheapest thing that you'll ever make, but it's really lovely quality, and when you think about what a nice cardigan might cost you in the shops, then you know, I don't think it's that bad at all for the quality. As I say, it's so soft, and I can see myself definitely getting a lot of wear out of this. It's a nice neutral colour, so yeah, it will go with anything. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about that. As I say, I knit it on 3.25mm needles. I use my Knit Pro Symphony, and yeah, I think that's about it. I'm really pleased with it. So that's it for my finished objects from today, and I shall be back in a day or two, although for you it will just be a second or two, with the rest of my works in progress. So it's later in the morning on Friday. I'm now in the shop. I'm feeling a little bit perkier, but a little bit tired as well, so hopefully I can survive the day. And as promised, I am going to quickly flash my finished objects that I had forgotten to take home. So the first one is one object that's been on my needles for quite a long time, and I'm really pleased that I've managed to get it finished, and it is my Colourfield shawl, and this is a pattern by Kemper Ray, who is also known as Raybot, and it's just a pretty shawl. knit in double knit yarn in 2 colours, and I cast this on back at the beginning of summer, I think, maybe even around my birthday, I can't remember. It was around my birthday, that's not the beginning of summer. Anyway, it's been on the needles for a little while, and I cast on and I got as far as probably about there, and then I just put the project away in favour of other things. So I decided it was high time to get this out and get it off the needles. Being a double knit yarn, it just really flew off the needles. It only took me a few evenings once I got going, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Originally I was going to use this yarn, which is an indie dyed yarn by a lovely lady called Bryony. She is Bry1988, I think, on Instagram, and she has an Etsy shop called Darcy Bear where she sells her hand dyed yarn and some other things. I think she's got some project bags and things like that in her shop, and I was going to pair that yarn with another yarn that I bought from the lovely Amy from Stranded Dye Works, and I bought the yarn especially for this project, and I think it's called Bruiser, her colourway. Might be remembering that wrongly, but it's a nice purpley colour. But actually when I started knitting this, there wasn't enough contrast between the sort of purpley bits in the Darcy Bear yarn and the yarn that I bought from Stranded. So I swapped that out for this lovely brown yarn, and it is a Rowan Pure Wool DK, which sadly they don't make anymore because it's really nice to work with. But I think that gave a nice contrast with the pinks and purples, and I'm really pleased with how this has worked up. So I've worn it in the shop a few times, and when I wear it under my coat, usually just wrap it round, but it's been quite autumnal and chilly, so I've actually worn it as a traditional shawl a few times just to keep the chill off my back and shoulders, and it's just given me that extra bit of warmth. And because it's double knit, it's so squishy and cozy, and I really like that. So yeah, I'm so glad. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of this one. I can't remember, I think it's knit on 4.5 or 5mm needles, and I use my Knit Pro Symphonies, and I did, for the very first time, the pattern suggests that you do an Icelandic bind off, which I'd never tried before, and it gives quite a nice sort of stretch to the bind off, so it doesn't sort of pull the end in as some other bind offs do, and it was really fun. It's always nice to learn something new, really simple, and in the pattern Kemper provided a link to a tutorial, but if you just search for Icelandic bind off on YouTube, you'll find a few. So yeah, I think I can see myself using that bind off technique in other projects as well, and it sort of almost gives a bit of a rolled edge, so it's not quite flat, but not quite as time intensive as an I-cord, but it almost gives that sort of I-cordy effect. And I used most of the ball or the skein of the Darcy Bear yarn. That was 100 grams, and I used probably, the Rowan comes in 50 grams, I used probably 1.5 maybe of the contrast. So yeah, I think that's everything to say about that one. And then my final finished objects, and of course why wouldn't I do something like this, is I have crocheted some carrots. Why wouldn't you? So I don't know, I might have mentioned this on a previous video. One of my lovely customers came in with a I think it was a magazine supplement with loads of crocheted vegetables. That's me waving carrots around. I'm like one of those, you know, directing planes to land, but with carrots. No. Anyway, back to the point. And she said, I thought maybe this would be something that the whole group, so it's one of my groups, they meet on a Wednesday morning. She said perhaps we could all get involved and do a little display for your window. Obviously autumn harvest festival, so everyone has been crocheting vegetables. and they're brilliant, and I can't wait to show you, but I'll probably show you what everyone else has been making in the next shop update video, once I've changed my window display. But I picked out carrots because orange, so I made 2 orange carrots, smiley face, and then for some reason I decided to make a grumpy carrot. And then I thought, actually, you get sort of those kind of fancy heritage carrots, and I made a purple one as well. I was going to make a yellow one, but by that point I was a bit carroted out, to be honest. But I think one of my ladies is going to make a couple more carrots, so we should have a good carrot representing the carrots in a big way in our vegetable box for the window. And for this, actually the orange carrots are made out of that same country style yarn that I showed. Oh no, I haven't shown it yet, because this is I'm getting so confused because I'm recording this. So this, you'll see this yarn later in another of my works in progress, and the greens were just scraps. Again, this is from the same project that the orange is being used in. All very mysterious, it'll make sense later. And then the purple was just a scrap of purple that I had lying around. So yeah, carrots. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off. Nothing else to say. I mean, okay, so on to works in progress. I've got a few. I'm not going to show you them all today. Some of them haven't really had much progress. So I have got the things that I've got on the go that I won't be showing you today are my beach hut socks. I have finished pretty much the leg on those, but they haven't had that much work since I last showed you. I've also got my lakeside shawl, which is using the beautiful Miss Babs yarn, which was a gift from my lovely friend Lisa, but I had to put that aside in favour of working on the Colourfield shawl, which I really wanted to get off the needles. So now that's done, I'll pick up the lakeside shawl again. What else have I got? Oh, I've got a super secret project on the needles. I've started knitting James a jumper for Christmas, but he does sometimes watch these episodes, so I'm not going to show that, the yarn, the pattern or anything, so I want that to be a surprise for him come Christmas. Anything else that I've got that I'm not going to show? I've got a pair of socks that I'm in the process of just making a really simple design using some of the local farm yarn, or one of the local farm yarns that I've got. So but I haven't done much progress on those. I keep knitting and ripping those out, so I'm not going to show those today either. But that's enough about what you're not going to see. And I shall show you some of the things I have been working on. So I'm going to grab the biggest project first, which hasn't been on my videos for a little while, and this is the rug that I'm making for, well, at the moment the plan is for it to go in my living room in front of our fireplace, but I don't know if it will end up there or not, and I'll show you why. So I have knitted, now the light's going a little bit crazy, so I don't know how well you're going to see this, but I've started the second colour. This is made from the Tech fabric yarn that I picked up at Wonderwall this year. Sorry, the light's glaring off the plastic on that one. But I've swapped to the second colour. So I started with this grey and I swapped to this blue, but I think you can immediately see there's like a massive difference in the thickness between the grey and the blue, which I'm a bit disappointed about because it wasn't obvious. I mean, you buy them in these big sort of cones, and there isn't anything saying there's any variation in size. They both had the same labels on, both recommending the same hook size, but yeah, there's a vastly different a vast difference in the thickness. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that, and I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna carry on making it. I don't have any other use for this yarn. I bought it specifically for making this. Sorry, I'm fidgeting because I'm sat on the floor and I'm getting a bit uncomfy. The light's really not good, is it? I might just have to Maybe I'll go close the blind over there and see if that makes a difference. Just bear with me. Right, hopefully that's made a bit of a difference. I've just closed the blind in the window where the sun was shining through. So yeah, let's go back to this rug project. What was I saying? Yeah, I'm just disappointed with the difference in thickness. As I say, when I hold it up, you can really see the difference, and I don't know if I want that on display in the living room, but I'll finish the project. I don't have any other use for the yarn, and if I'm still not keen on it by the end, then it might go in the bathroom. So it will get used. It just may not be used for the specific purpose that I was originally hoping. And with the, so explain this properly, Ange. I crocheted the grey and I measured it up against the space that I wanted to go in the living room, and it had got to a width where I've got 4 colours of the t-shirt yarn, and if I'd have gone any further with the grey, then the colour block would have been just too wide to fit into the space where I want the rug to go. So I had a small little bit left over, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to do anything with that. So what I've done is I've started making a little basket. As you can see, there's not huge amounts left over. It looked much more when it's wound up into the little ball, but this yarn's really thick, so you do sort of go through it quite quickly. But I've made the base of what will be a little basket, and I figured that at that time I hadn't started the next yarn, so I didn't realise there was a difference in thickness, but I figured, you know, they were all the same, so there'd be a little bit left over from each, and that I'd just make a few little crochet baskets that will go in the bathroom or up here in the craft room. I'm not sure yet, but I thought it'd be a way to use up the leftover yarn. I could just stripe up the sides. So yeah, that's a real slow project because I'm using a big hook. It's 10mm, and again, this was a hook that I bought at Wonderwalls. I didn't have anything quite this thick already, and I can only do a couple of rows at a time before my wrists really start to ache. And now I've encountered that issue with the thickness, I'm not as enthusiastic to work on. I don't have the enthusiasm that I did initially for that project, so, but I will plough through it. I had my unofficial goal of trying to work through everything that I bought at Wonderwall by the time next Wonderwall comes around, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. Time is ticking on, and I still have a big pile of stuff that I got at Wonderwall. Anyway, on to the next work in progress, or not that one. That is James's jumper, so we're not going to show that. That means I left the wrong project downstairs. Try and remember to go and get that at the end. So next thing I have been working on is a little teddy bear, and this book was given to me by a friend, and it's called Little Bears to Knit and Crochet, and it's by Val Pierce. And on the front cover you can see the project that I'm making. It's a cute little teddy bear with the pumpkin suit on, and I thought that would be great for the window in the shop. I'm going to have some Halloweeny bits and pieces in there later in October, but this little bear is really cute, so he might go in as soon as he's finished. I was hoping to have him finished for today. I've not got much left to do, but as I say, unfortunately I've not been feeling very well, so last night, shock horror, I did not knit, crochet or anything. I was actually in bed by 8 o'clock which is just crazy. Anyway, I have knit pretty much all of the pieces for the bear, but he's not really sewn together, so headless body. He's only little, as you can see. He does have a head, I just haven't sewn him on yet. His eyes look a bit wonky. I think that's the angle that I'm holding him at. They're not really wonky. And I've got the bits that make up his pumpkin suit. He's got some arms. He's got a little hat that needs sewing up. Looks a bit strange at the minute, but all the bits are there. I just haven't got round to finishing, but he won't take long now to finish up. And for this little bear, I am using the green, is Stylecraft Special DK, and it's in one of their brand new colourways, which is called Lincoln. They released 3 new colours this summer. That's the main body of that. And then for the pumpkin, I'm using sort of it's not an out and out pumpkin orange, but more on the sort of peachy side. But this is a Sirdar yarn country style double knit, and he's made on 3.25mm needles. Yeah, 3.25 millimeter needles, and I'm using just a pair of really basic, these are, well, they're actually called Knit Pro Basics. They have an aluminium version and a birch version. I'm using the birch version. So he has been knit on those. So yeah, not much else to say about that one. I'm keeping that in my project bag from Jibby Rousseau's. She has a lovely Etsy shop, and that's got the lovely sort of Japanese geisha girls on that one. Right, what else? Okay, I've started a new pair of socks. So as soon as I have finished the commission socks, which I showed you hopefully in one of the finished video clips. I'm so sorry about this. This is going to be such a messy video. If you have stuck with me, then thank you. Right, back to socks. So after I finished the commission socks that I showed you in the finished objects clips, I started a new pair of socks from this yarn. It's from Bergère de France, and the colour is, I think it's 34197, Imprime Ciel. I'm not very good at French, as you can see. And I have one socks finished. So these are going to be a gift for my mother-in-law, and I think, not sure yet whether they're going to be for birthday or Christmas. And let me just show you how the first socks knit up, and then I'll explain why. So I cast these on as birthday socks. She has her birthday at the end of October. I'm using Cascade 220 in a nice blue colour. I don't have the ball band anymore, so I don't know exactly what the colourway is for that one, sorry. But this is how the first sock has knit up. So I'm using the blue, obviously, for heel, cuff and toes. And as I was knitting this up, I thought, actually it sort of reminds me of snow and those kind of like dusky light, last light sort of colours that you sometimes get in the winter. So I'm wondering whether to save these and use these as Christmas socks. Sorry, as you can hear, my cat's back. I think she's cross that I'm sat up here and I'm not downstairs feeding her treats. I did, until recently, keep a little packet of treats up here in my craft room. So she would follow me up all the time, and I'd give her a little treat when we got to the top of the stairs. But the naughty little thing has recently been stealing the packet, and she ripped it open and pretty much ate half a bag of treats that was left. So I'm not going to keep any up here anymore until I might get a little container that she can't break into. But yeah, I think she's cross because I'm up here and she's not had any treats. Back to socks. I'm so easily distracted today. I'm so sorry. So yes, as I was saying, this colour sort of reminds me of snow, and then you sometimes get the nice purpley sort of last light colours in the winter. So I'm wondering whether to save these and give them to her as Christmas socks. I usually I say, over the last couple of years I've given her a pair of socks for both her birthday and for Christmas. So I might put these aside for Christmas. Her birthday's not till the end of October, so I've still got a little while to try and get another pair of socks on and off the needles if I do decide. It might come down to time factor, whether I have time to you know, make another pair and change my mind. I have cast on the second sock, but there's not really much to see, is there? That's literally a cast on in one row, I think. So, but it's on the needles. I know a lot of people talk about second sock syndrome, and I think I've spoken about this before. When I'm knitting socks, I don't really experience second sock syndrome, though I did for those last pair that I knit from the bamboo yarn, because I just didn't enjoy those. But I do tend to try, if I know, most often I knit my socks cuff down. If I know I'm going to finish a toe, or I'm at the point where the toe's ready to come to be finished, then I make sure that I've also got enough time to cast on the second sock at the same time, so I don't kind of put them away and kind of use the, oh, I need to cast that on as an excuse not to get going. But yeah, I'm knitting those on my ChiaoGoo needles, which I really like. I bought these at Wonderwall, 2.25mm, and I cast on 64 stitches for those. I have got 2 more projects, I think, to show you. One of them's downstairs, so I shall go and grab that one in a minute. But the penultimate is my one-way tee. So if you watch my last what I'm making videos, you'll know that I have misplaced the yarn for this. I'll just show you a picture. It's from a pattern from Interweave Knits, and I think this was spring 2015, so it's a good couple of years old. But it's just this simple kind of t-shirt make on the front. And the last we spoke, I had put it down because I had misplaced my bag of yarn, but it was pretty much in the corner in plain sight. I don't know how I didn't see it, but crisis averted. I have been able to get back to this, which means that I have now finished knitting on the back. So if I hold this up, where you last saw it was where my little progress keeper is, and obviously I have knit the rest of that. The other marker on here just denotes where I started the decreases for the armholes, so that I can match that on the front piece. Now I've also cast on the front piece, and as is becoming true Angela style when making garments, as soon as I cast on the front piece, I realised I had made a huge boo-boo on the back piece. Right at the beginning. So this is how far I've got on the front, so not a huge amount of progress, but looky on the front, there are a few rows of garter at the very beginning. This is my back. Oh dear, no garter. What was I thinking? I have no idea. And you can clearly see it on the pattern. So this is the pattern that I stare at all the time, showing the back. And you can clearly, I mean, you probably can't because there's light reflecting, but there is garter at the bottom. I mean, that's really the only suitable response to that, isn't it? Anyway, I have a plan, because obviously I'm not going to rip all that out. As discussed previously in this episode, not a small person. Hours of knitting. So, I am going to obviously carry on, make the front. I will get to the point where I sew the pieces together. I am going to see how we go. So obviously I'm going to seam up the sides. Now I don't know whether that will stabilise the sides enough to stop the rolling, and in which case it will just be a design feature. If it doesn't, and I have a feeling that it won't, then my idea will be to pick up along the cast on edge and knit a few rows of garter. Now obviously that will make the back slightly longer than the front, but I have seen many patterns recently which have actually, sorry, the cat just knocked the swivel chair. She's back again, still cross that she hasn't had any treats. Lots of patterns, get back to the point, where the back is slightly longer than the front. So, you know, again, design feature. So I think I can save it. I think I can save it without too much hassle. But, I mean, seriously, what was I doing? Read the pattern. That's my big tip. Read the pattern. Don't just assume that you know what you're doing. I think I was so excited to get going with the showing you the back with the nice lacy bit in the middle. I, you know, was just knitting away to get to that centre panel, and didn't really pay attention to the fact that I was supposed to be knitting garter and not stocking out. So I am knitting that on 4mm needles using this lovely bright orange. I'm definitely going to look like I've been tangoed. I think you maybe need to be in the UK to get that reference. But I'm knitting that from Debbie Bliss Mia, which is a wool cotton blend. This yarn is sadly discontinued. I still have a couple of colourways left in the shop, but it's nearly all gone. And of course I had to snag this bright orange for myself, and I think it will be really nice to wear in spring and autumn. She says, I mean, autumn's going to be done before I get this off the needles, but as you can see, it's sort of styled with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath, and obviously you'd want something underneath because of the open lace pattern. I am despairing because I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you. I'm just going to look. Can you see where my cat is? Up there. Climbing all over my books. Such a pain. Anyway. So yeah, I think it will be a really nice kind of transitional seasonal piece to wear with the long sleeve top underneath. And then maybe in the summer, if you could just wear like a little cami underneath to hide the nakedness under the lace. Well, obviously not completely naked. I can't get away with not wearing a bra in public. Right, so I've got one more project to show you, but I've left it downstairs. I thought I'd left James's sweater downstairs, but I picked up the wrong bag. So another quick transition while I run down the stairs and grab the other project that I'm working on. While I was downstairs, I realised that I don't have one more project to show you. I have 3 more projects to show you. This is how ridiculous my works in progress are getting. I've got so many, I'm forgetting what I've got on the needles. Right, I'm going to start by showing you the project that I knew I was going to show you. I'm keeping this. Didn't show you my other bags, did I? Is it too late? Do you care? Probably not. Let's just move on. I'm keeping this in one of my own projects. This was one of the first project bags that I made. And it's kind of a bit of an experiment. I put my little label on the outside, which I don't do anymore. They go inside. But it's cute little birdies. And in here, I have hat pattern. So this, I am making this cover hat from Interpretations Volume 3, which is a pom-pom publication. And all the patterns in here are by Johi Locatelli and Vera Valimaki. My copy is a bit battered, so if you remember when, well, you may remember if you have watched my videos before, that back at the beginning of the summer we had a leak in the shop, and this was one of the copies that got a bit water damaged, so it's a bit battered, but I keep this as my copy now. So nothing much lost there. I am knitting the Looking Ahead hat, which is a pattern by Vera Valimaki, and I am using this lovely local yarn from what am I trying to say? This is a local 100% Romney yarn from the company Yarn from the Farm. This is dyed and produced by my lovely friend Sam, and she actually gifted me this yarn last time she came into the shop. She popped in last week to drop off some new yarn. She dyed up a few new colourways, and I really love this one, so she gifted it to me. And we decided that it'd be nice to knit up as a shop sample, and I thought the simple kind of textured hat pattern might be good just to really show off the yarn. Now, if you're not a fan of pooling, you probably won't like this, but I am fascinated when yarns pool and flash just as you're knitting, just to see what the next row is going to look like. So I have knitted the brim of this hat, and this is what it looks like so far. So I've got the lovely greens over on one side, and there's such a variation in the tones of the greens, and then I've got the burgundies again, lots of variations in tone on the other side, and I am just enjoying knitting this so much. I have no idea like whether I think this will be sort of like super wearable for me or not by the time that I get round to finishing. But yeah, I'm just loving the knitting process. I'm ready to swap onto bigger needles to knit the body of the hat. So I think the brim's knit in 325 or 3.5. Let me just double check the pattern. Ah, not even close. 3mm. And then once I get onto the texture, which I'm now ready to do, I should be changing up to 4.5. So that's kind of what's paused me on that project. I need to grab a pair of 4.5mm. Unusually for me, I'm knitting on double points. They were just what I had to hand when I started the project. I didn't have, you know, like a smaller circular needle in the right size. So yeah, just grab them. I'm not a massive fan of working on double points. I find that the way that I hold the needle, I tend to get the other end like rubbing on my hands, which I just find a little bit uncomfortable. So I much prefer to work on a circular needle if I can. So yeah, 100% Romney, double knit yarn. This label's got a bit tattered because I've shoved it in the ball band, but that's a lovely label. Yarn from the Farm, and this colourway she is calling Hedgerow Sample. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where we go from here. I thought initially when I cast this and started working on it, I thought we might get it spiralling around the hat, because if you can see, it was sort of working out and the colour was sort of like creeping over and over and over, but then all of a sudden it like sort of shifted back. But we're now starting to creep round again this way, so who knows what it's going to end up looking like, but it's just so much fun to knit. And I mean, doing the rib didn't take me very long at all, so with any luck, I might take this, actually I'm going to put the pattern back in there. I am going to put this right, you might hear a thud because I'm going to throw this down the room. Put it right in my path so that I remember on my way out of this room to pick up 4.5mm needles. I'm going to take that project into the shop with me to work on today. By any luck, it will be finished in the not too distant future. Right, I've got to get a shift on. This video is probably going to be ages long as usual, and I need to start thinking about leaving to get to the shop. Right, so next project, Pom Pom Quarterly, and that means of course this is my Sevilla wrap, which I have shown on my videos quite a few times before. It's a massive lacy wrap, and you knit it lengthwise, so there's bajillions of stitches, not quite, something like 300 and something, and I have made pretty good progress on this. But the reason I'd forgotten about it is I haven't touched it in about a week, in favour of like knitting leaves and pumpkin teddies and stuff like that. So it's got a bit rumpled in the bag. I'm trying to find, last time I showed you, trying to make sure the stitches don't slip off as well. Last time I showed you this project, we were here. So I've knit a good few inches, and if I remember rightly, I have got, so this, I'm back to, so I've gone past the middle point. Let me try and hold this back. So obviously this bit here is the middle point, and then I'm back to kind of repeating what I've already done on the other side. So I'm working on that big long lacy panel. I'm several repeats in. Let me see if I can quickly look at my, so I've got 4 more 4-row repeats to do to finish that lacy panel, and then I repeat the whole of the lace chart, which I think is 20 odd rows again for the bottom bit, and then I should be done. So again, this one just needs a bit of a concerted effort, but because I need to concentrate, it's TV knitting in that when James is watching something on TV that I'm not really that interested in, I will sit and knit this. But if there's something on the telly that I need to concentrate on, that I'm interested in watching, this is not TV knitting, obviously. It's quite a short pattern repeat, but I need to just make sure, because I mean, look at how long this is. You don't want to be like tinking back rows that are 350 odd stitches or whatever they are. I really probably should have been working on this week, or James wasn't here. No, mind you, that's, no, scratch that, because obviously I get to choose what's on the telly. So telly's been what I want this week. And it's been a good time to make a good start on his jumper. So probably when he gets back at the weekend, I might make this my sort of focus for my knitting. So I try to have, obviously I've got commissions to do and stuff for the shop. I need to make a few more things for the shop. I want to make a few pumpkins and bits and pieces like that. I've also got this adorable pattern for some crocheted bats, which I think would be great for Halloween. So I needed to make those, but I do try and give myself some me knitting time. Although all these projects are fun, obviously those projects are for business purposes. Of course, crochet bats, of course they're for business. Whereas these sorts of projects are for pleasure, for me. So I try and make sure that I'm working on at least one of my own for pleasure projects every week. At least for, you know, a little bit every evening. And this, I am keeping in one of my brand new project bags. Oyster catchers. So if you've watched my videos before, you know I love these crazy little birds, and I have my other project bag with the seagulls and oyster catchers, which has got my beach hut socks, which I haven't shown this time. But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous fabric from Poppy Treefy, who is a designer based down in Cornwall. I think she's got her own little shop, and she does lots of homeware and stuff like that. When I had a fancy to make some sort of seaside-y themed bags earlier in the summer, I just searched in Google for oyster catcher fabric, and this popped up. And she's designed this really, really cute sort of stylized oyster catcher. These big orange boots, which I love. Doesn't have an orange beak though, so maybe he's more of a, oh, what are those? Oh, forget it. I can't remember what the other birds are, like the wader sort of birds. Avocet, is that what I'm thinking of? Anyway, who cares? Shut up, Angela. Let's get on to the last project. And again, keeping this in another one of my project bags. I have a nice pile of project bags, but when I'm on a sewing kick, which I was a few weeks ago, obviously I make things from fabric that I've got in my stash, fabrics that I like, so I can't resist keeping some. So this is my nice tweedy grey fabric, and I can't remember whether I've shown you this before, and I possibly haven't. I have lost, yeah, I've lost the book. This is a common theme, isn't it? Losing things. I've lost the book that had my show notes in it. So I've done like my show notes, it's not a show, video notes. So I haven't been keeping track of what I've been chatting about. I must rewatch some of my last videos and get back to that. This is a crochet project and it's another garment. I know, I have got 3 garments on the needles, 2 for me and 1 for James. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, I'm making this from a brand new yarn from Stylecraft. This is Stylecraft Batik Elements and it is a wool acrylic blend. And this colour is called Iron. And it reminds me of raspberry chocolate. Isn't that ridiculous? Every time I'm working on this, I get hungry. And I don't have the pattern to show you, but I'm crocheting a tunic, which is, again, is another Stylecraft pattern. If you pop over to my Instagram feed, Rainbow Ange, then I put a picture of the pattern and my progress on this before. But I have now pretty much finished the back of this tunic. So it's a really simple pattern repeat, and it starts, let's try and show you. So you start slightly differently. You've got this sort of border, if you can see, which has like a really small sort of bobble, separated by some rows of trebles, and then you go into sort of like a combination of treble clusters and V-stitches, so it works up really quite quickly. So I can't remember when I started this, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I have finished the whole of the back pretty much. I think I've got maybe 1 more pattern repeat to go, and then the back will be finished, and then I shall be onto the front and the sleeves. And yeah, this yarn is really lovely to crochet with. I've had some of my customers have been knitting with it. Really, really nice colour combinations. There's 8 colours altogether, but I fell in love. I'm not really a pinky sort of girl, she says, having knit a pink shawl and whatever recently. I've got quite a lot of pink in my wardrobe, considering I'm not really a pinky girl, but I really fell in love with these. I don't know if it's the combination of these deep raspberries with the flashes of rust. I just really love it. So that's that. Not really much to say about that, except yummy. And now I need some raspberry chocolate. So I can now wrap this video up. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end if you did. I apologise for the waffle. I apologise for the crazy cat interruptions. I apologise for the lighting issues. I apologise for the cuts to lots of different video segments because I'm completely unorganised. And I apologise for, you know, just my randomness today. As I say, I'm blaming it on being a bit off colour, but that's probably, it's just me, isn't it? So I shall hopefully see you again soon. Next time I record, I will have been a yarn shop owner for 6 months. 6. I'm trying to get all my hands on the screen. 6. Can you believe it? So I shall be doing a shop update sort of video next time. Hopefully won't be in the too distant future. And yeah, so hopefully see you again soon. Bye for now.